going to show you how to make this awesome free Chewbacca Bowcaster rifle. It is amazing, super easy to make. It came out great. I love it, and it looks phenomenal with the Home Depot Chewbacca that I purchased. Stick around, show you. I found this Bowcaster STL file on Maker World, and it looks like this is produced by Ferran 3D. Not sure how to pronounce that. And it's a free file, and it it looks great. And there aren't any directions on how to put this together. It's pretty intuitive, but I have put together a video on how to build it and paint it, and I want to jump in and show you. So makerworld.com, you can go ahead and download it yourself if you want to print one of these and follow along. Setting this up on the build plate is really simple. This is just one example of some of the pieces. There are quite a few pieces, but they're really easy to get set up and print. Everything I printed on my Elegoo Centauri carbon. It was easy, it came out great. I printed at 10% infill, probably used a little more than half a roll of filament. Super easy. Let me show you now the sanding step. I first of all took all of these pieces and went through and sanded them with 100 grit sandpaper with an auto sander. I have just a palm sander and I got everything sanded. Now I'm going through with like 400 grit to just knock off the rough edges and get everything ready so that I can assemble it and then get it ready for primers. I didn't put a lot of effort into this. There was no filler primer. No wood filler. I only used filler primer, which you will see later. But before we get into that, let me show you how to assemble this. Now it's time to assemble the gun. We've done the sanding, the printing, excuse me. Now we need to get this put together. Some of the things you're going to need. You're going to need some CA glue. This comes with accelerator. My workstation is a mess, I'm sorry. Accelerator. I am out of this glue. It's phenomenal. I am going to use some of this glue because I could get it very quickly. It comes, this is also CA glue. Comes in a very thick formula. I think this is the thick formula, and then it comes in the thin formula. I'm going to use this accelerator with this glue. So the point is, get some good, strong super glue. You are also going to need some paracord. Now you can use bungee elastic. This is about 4 millimeters in diameter, something like that. I think I've got the, yeah, here we go. This is what I picked up. 100 feet, 7 core yarns. No idea what that means, but there you go. That's what I picked up, 4 millimeter thickness. And I cut a piece that's 18 inches in length, and I put a knot on the end. And then I melted that cut end with a lighter so that it wouldn't fray. And then that is going to go inside of these recessed round pieces. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But you've got, once you print all this, you've got all of these different pins. It looks like a mess, I'm sorry, but I'll show you where everything goes. First things first, I think what I'm going to do is the kind of the main part of the gun and get that all shored up and get the handle put onto it. So let's start with that. In this assembly, you have some tall pins and then you have some smaller pins. These smaller pins are going to glue into these two holes on the back of the gun, and then this part of the gun, the back handle, is going to glue to the main part of the gun. So let me get those pins in and show you what that looks like. And there you go. Those pins are now glued into the stock handle, and I'm going to put accelerant spray here and here, and I'm going to put the super glue here and in the hole, and then here and in that hole. That way everything will line up. So let's get the glue in here. Okay. There you go. The next thing to do is to get this section of the gun glued to the handle. And from what I can tell, it's just simply going to glue in there. And then what's going to keep this together are there's some pins that some decorative pieces are going to attach to. And so I'm going to get this glued on and aligned up. I think what I'll do is I'll put the glue on this side, and then I will spray this. That way I'll have nice alignment with my glue lines. Now, the larger pins are going to go inside of the front part of this gun, and it's going to connect to this part of the gun, like so. In order for, and you're going to see this like ridge line area up here. However, as I study this, as you're familiar with the Bowcaster gun, it has these elongated pieces like a bow that go inside of this slot. And we need to fit this cord into this runner slot, and it's going to drop into there. So before we get this attached to the actual gun, we need to work on getting the I don't even know what this is called, but this section of the gun installed. And what you'll notice is that the width of this part is about 1 inch, and you're going to have two pieces that slide in to each side like so. Okay, the question is, how do you get them aligned so that they're even? And what I did is I measured, and I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it's about 1/2 inch from the part that goes in going out, and then I've got now a nice line on both of those where I can line up these pieces and glue them in. So let me get those glued in, and then we will start working on the end caps and the cord. Okay, we have those glued in. So those seem pretty sturdy now. You'll notice on and these spheres, you have these grooves, and these longer grooves are for the kind of the crossbow part that's glued into the stock. These other grooves, one's a little bit deeper. See how this one's a little bit deeper than that one? You got a more of an indent right there than you do here. This is where you're going to put your paracord. You're gonna simply take, here we go. You're gonna take the knot and you're gonna put it into the side that has the deepest groove. Get that situated in there and aligned up, and try to work the paracord through that little slot. And then you're gonna fit this on top of the crossbow section and then glue the other side of the ball on there. See if we can do this. Okay, I want to show this to you. This is gonna face towards your body, okay? And the ball, the string, the paracord is going to be behind the slanted bowcaster. I don't even know what to call these parts. But you can see the string is going to be behind, okay? And then it's going to come through and tuck into this part. And now we can glue the other side over here. And if I have my everything cut correctly in the right length, we'll be good to go. So fingers crossed. Let's get this other one on. There we go. It's got a little bit of tension. I had to flex this just a little. You can see it flexes to get this other end on, but it went on really nice. And now that in the part here, I'll get these larger pins glued into this and then get this attached. I think that's going to be the next step. Okay, we're coming along nicely here. This thing, he's going to be very happy. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Now, if you're worried about stability, this is a prop only. I'm going to bend his arm that's raised up. I'm going to bend it down so he's holding it like this. So this is very light. I only printed this at 10% infill. But if you're worried about durability here, you could always plastic weld this seam and then sand it down, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm now going to attach the end that supports the barrel and the sight. And these larger pins, again, are going to go in here, which I'll glue. And this piece, you're going to have the kind of that circular groove pointed up. And then that's going to connect right to the end there. There we go. Now, I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to glue in the barrel. The barrel is comprised of two long pieces, the one with kind of the larger end that connects into the smaller piece, and the kind of the scope or the sight, probably, I don't know. I don't use guns, so I don't know. But this is going to go on this piece first. And there's some space that's going to be left here. And I got to figure out that spacing with some reference pictures. But essentially, these pieces are going to glue together. That is going to go into this hole right there. And then you're going to reference how far out that barrel should come. And once you get everything lined up, then you just simply glue it. So let's get to work on that. And there you go. I left, based on reference pictures, about 3/4 of an inch from the tip of the barrel to the sight. And I love how that's looking. So I just glued it in there. I made a little reference mark with a Sharpie, so I knew how far back to put the barrel in. And yeah, I hope I got everything assembled the right way. Now there are some pieces for the scope. There are some decorative pieces for the side. Got to decide what to tackle next. Now we have these decorative pieces, and this is the left side of the gun, and you can see these holes that are in the gun, and you have some receiving holes back here. Now if you wanted to, you could take a piece of filament, stick them in the holes and line them up. I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm just going to eyeball this where you've got a piece there, and you've got this other piece that's going to align. Let's see, like this. And so let me get those glued on. Oh my gosh, let me get those glued on and show you what it looks like. Okay, I'll show you what these look like. Right there. And right there. And you can see how it goes across the seam of the gun. So there's good stability on there. I've got these weird kind of shaped pieces. These are actually going to go along the bottom part of this gun on the side. So if I could show you here, how can I do this? I'm struggling. 1 second. There you go, like that. You see the natural curve? That just attaches right along there. Just gives it a nice decorative kind of finish. So I'll get this one on and the other one on, come back and show you. On both sides. Cool. All right, now we've got a lot of work to do on the scope. There are multiple pieces here. You've got the scope mount, you've got the scopes, you've got this larger component. I don't know. But the pieces that do not have the additional decorative trim, these go in the front. So the ones with the additional decorative trim go in the back of the scope mount. So in other words, these face your eyes and these just face towards the front of the gun. So I think I need to get these glued into the scope mount. I think that's the next step. I'm going to do that. It is all glued together. There is a smaller pin that's going to go in the back underneath side of that, and then that is going to attach to the top side of this. We also have a couple of other pieces that are going to, I'm going to have to turn the camera around to show you this. So these pieces are going to glue in here, something like that. Because this is going to glue in there, kind of like that. This is going to be more to the top, maybe more to the side over here. And then on top of those two pieces is going to glue a mount. So this is going to get interesting. This is a little tricky and it's going to take some finessing. I don't think I'm going to use accelerator on this so that I have time to work and kind of move this to where I need it. So let me see if I can work on that. Okay, I've glued this scope mount to the gun. These are glued in. And what I did is I just simply glued this piece just resting here. And now I'm going to slide in these pieces and glue them. I'm going to put some glue right here, glue them in, get them in position, and then I'll put on the top brace that butts up against those pieces. Got one more piece, the trigger. I believe the trigger is going to go right up in that area, so let's just get that glued in. Accelerator there, and glue on here. A little goes a long way. And there we go. We have a Bowcaster rifle. Man, that's awesome. Now I'm just using filler primer just to get everything covered. And once I get that all done, I'll show you exactly what that's going to look like and what the next step is going to be. We are primed, and I sanded just a little bit just to get down some of the rough edges. It's not like perfect. Like, this is a prop. I'm not going full out like I do with my suit. So this is what my 7.5 foot tall animated Chewbacca is going to hold for Halloween. And now I'm going to get some Rust-Oleum flat black on this thing. There we go. Yep, that's coming out really well. That looks great. This black is set up really nice. It's pretty dry. I'm just now using some acrylic paint. This is a, I don't know, anniversary silver. Basically, you take the brush, dip it in, and you blot it out. And then we're going to apply this in a dry fashion, and it looks weathered. So I'm gonna go through and put some scuff marks on here, weather this up, paint these gold, and then we'll seal it with some matte finish. That's it. I put on some antique bronze, and also I put on dry brushed some silver. Gave it some highlights, some details, painted on the bronze, and then I clear coated it with this matte Krylon finish, and Oh man, let's take this inside and see what it looks like. That is a work of beauty. I love it. It looks phenomenal. Love the details, love the highlights, the weathering, everything came out perfect. Now, let's go fix our Home Depot Chewbacca arm so he can actually hold this gun. I gotta tell you guys, this was not difficult to bend this Chewbacca arm, but I needed, if you see the Chewbacca, Home Depot Chewbacca, the left arm is sticking straight up in the air because he's supposed to hold a candy cane. What I want to do is bring his left arm, if I can get this to, anyway, I want to bring his left arm from the shoulder down and kind of bend in a little bit. So his palm on his left side would be facing up to put the gun into. I'm telling you, I was getting creative with vice grips and attaching them to my table and then pushing down to bend. And then you're gonna laugh, but I literally found that the handle of my snowblower, if I put that in there and literally like pull this way, it gave me just the right curvature. So let's just go and see how this looks. Okay, so this is what I mean. I've got the fur off the body, but this arm used to go straight over and up. Now I've put a bend. Here's the joint, and I put a bend here at the elbow to come down. This was the natural bend in the arm to begin with when it went up, but I've just pulled it in this way. So if that makes sense, I've kind of pulled it in closer this way, and his arm is up. This one, I've just bent up a little bit and bent in. Now, the idea is you can take the gun and he can now hold his bowcaster. So I'm going to get it plugged in to see what kind of movement it's going to create up there and see how this works. But it looks like this actually might do the trick. All right, folks, it works perfectly. His arm, or his hand, is gripping right here on the barrel. I have a paracord wrapped around in his wrist and then tied to the back side of the gun, and it is working awesome. Yes, it is. Excellent. I think it looks great. I think that this turned out really nice. Much better than holding a candy cane, right? Well, I sure hope you liked this video. It was a great project. It was a fantastic addition to this Home Depot Chewbacca. I can't wait to get him ready for trunk or treat. I'll have him with my R2, and I will be wearing my Mandalorian suit. It should be a ton of fun. So like and subscribe. Let me know if you've got any questions. Hope you found this video tutorial helpful. Thanks. Have a good one.